you want to be like you're like a coach, a life coach?
Well, I wouldn't call myself a coach. I would call myself a teacher.
Teacher?
Yeah,
Okay.
I teach people what they don't know.
Okay. So if I'm you said a single woman, right? You said 35, but
Well,
Specifically women 35 to 70.
30.
target
Okay. So
audience
if I'm
is midlife women, married, not married, divorced, not divorced. It doesn't matter. Midlife women. This is my lowest target audience, but it doesn't mean that I will turn away women that are younger or older, and I won't turn away men who happen to be younger or older as well. So this is just my target audience. You have to have a bullseye.
yeah,
And if
okay.
someone, go ahead.
Yeah, so here's my question. Like, okay, I'm in that demographics. I go online and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for a teacher, life coach, whatever, keywords you think they're gonna use. Am I expected to see Tweeple people come up?
No.
That's what I'm trying to. What is the audience of Tweeple people? What is the purpose here of Tweeple people?
Tweeple people is a search engine of people.
But okay, Roy.
Yes.
But it just takes me to Google.
Well, it's not.
See,
It's
like,
not up yet. It's not up yet. This is just.
I'm on it now.
This is just.
I'm
Yeah.
sharing the screen now. Like, even if I
Yeah.
share you, Roy, like here I search you. I even
Yeah.
search you, and
There's
just
nothing
my
there.
right. The internet provider. My internet provider comes up with some
Right.
searches for
Right.
Roy Montero.
There's
You
nothing
know.
there yet.
So how long's the site been up?
Since 2009. But the idea has been.
2009.
But the idea has
It's
been around since 1996.
okay. To 20 years, and there's nothing on the site,
Right. And so you make
right?
it sound like that's a bad thing.
Is the goal to attract
This
people?
you kind of take.
No. No, the goal is okay, so if you follow my journey, I'll explain my journey to you very quickly. If you understand my journey, number one, I came online with the goal of helping women entrepreneurs to be a better version of themselves each and every day so that they can help the people that God called them to help. Because a lot of them don't even know that God has called them to a calling, if you will. So the one liner for that is God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. I was one of those exact people. So because of what's happened to me since 1987 when God called me, in 1996, I attempted to get on, well, 1994, I attempted to get online. It took me 2 years to get online because of all kinds of hassles. I won't get into that. Once I got online, I started looking for the right people, people who are my divine connections, people who God is preparing to help me to do this calling because it's both of our callings where we have an overlap of our callings. They're doing something similar or the same or complementary, and I can use their talent because they do things that I don't know how to do and vice versa. So I'm still looking. I know what I'm doing, I just don't know who I'm doing it with. But this lady that I told you about right now that I gave the link to, who's going to be watching us and see maybe she can join us before her lunch is over, because every now and then we do kind of like she's in my master class. You may have remembered from the old days. I had 2 or 3 master classes. Nate Cunningham was in it. A few of the other people were in it that you guys all know. Well, they're gone. They disappeared because why? Because they weren't the right people. They were not prepared for me. They can't help me because they don't know what they don't know. So fast forward to today. I put that website up in 2009 because I thought about Tweeple people. I needed a name for my people search engine because at first I thought I was going to be gender specific. So I had a different name for the search engine back in 96. In 2009, I heard the Lord say, no, make it not gender specific, make it open to both genders. And so for that reason, I thought, okay, I need another name. And since Tweeple is a version of Twitter. And I just thought one day, Tweeple people, and I asked a few people in my master class, hey, what do you think? And they were all women, and they all loved it. I asked the guys, and they said, that's corny. So I said, oh, well, Tweeple people is available. Let me get it until a better name comes along. So, and it did. There's a better name now. Another friend of mine came to me about 3 months ago and said, why are you doing Tweeple people still? Aren't you doing this other name instead? And I said, you're right. So anyway, the iteration is going to change. So Tweeple people is going to be no more after March, because that's when it disappears, and it's going to be netfriending.com now.
Netfriending.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one that's up and going now? Netfriending?
No, I just got the domain. It was available. I got the hashtag. I got fb.com/netfriending on Facebook. I don't want it necessarily on LinkedIn or Google Plus, because it's just too much for me. So I've decided to make home base Facebook.
Because when I think Tweeple people, I'll tell you the first, like, okay, if you told me Tweeple people, I'm thinking kind of like kids. I'm thinking a kid site. I'm thinking tweens, teens. You know, I'm thinking,
Okay,
you know,
all right.
that's
Okay.
you know.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. So it's going to disappear because, as you said, you know, did God tell you to put up Tweeple people? Well, I don't know. Obviously not. Obviously, it was supposed to be there until it's not supposed to be there. So now, Tweeple people has morphed, if you will, or transformed
So you
into
think you
net
heard
friendly.
wrong?
No. It's just that I
So
didn't
did
know.
you hear wrong? No, you didn't.
No, it's just I didn't know.
Okay.
So when you don't know, you just put it out there until you do know. And so through another person, it's not going to be net friending, because that is my net friending didn't come to me until about a year ago. Another person brought net friending to me. So net friending, not networking, because net friending is the softer side of net working. Most women don't like men who are aggressively seeking a transaction rather than a relationship when networking. And so if people ask me, which I ask them, you know, I hate asking people, what do you do? Because I could care less what you do. I want to know, what problem do you solve when you do what you do, and for whom?
Mm.
Because if you don't know that, then I can't promote you. And that's all I want to do, is promote people.
Yeah, if you don't know that, you can't promote yourself.
True that. And
Yeah.
so many people tell us what they do. Like you said, are you a life coach? No, because the concept behind a life coach is nothing what I do. I tell people what to do, exactly what to do. I expect them to do it, and I expect them to like it. A coach says, oh, all the answers are within you. No, they're not. The questions that they have for their calling, their God, their relationship with the Lord and with themselves and with their to-be clients, to-be customers, most people don't have a clue. They're out there wanting to make money on the internet.
So what kind of client? So what kind? Go ahead. Someone had a question. Who was it? Oh, I guess not. So what kind of clients you having now?
The clients are heart-centered, entrepreneurial women who want to be a better version of themselves today.
No, I understand. No, I got that. I'm just saying,
Okay, so what are you asking?
Who you working with currently? I mean, I'm not looking for personal information. Maybe just, you know, who you working with, the type of business, or, you know, what's going on.
Okay, again, you're going to get the same answer. So ask me a specific question.
John, are you asking him like what kind of people does he work with, like profession-wise? Like,
ask me a yes or no question.
Yeah, like what kind of people do you work with? Engineers? Do you work with developers? Do you work with programmers? Like, what kind of people are on your list right now that you are working with?
Work with Madonna?
No.
No, who are you helping now? I mean, what do you know? Is there somebody specific you're working with now, with a specific business, or you know.
Yeah, again, your question is way too specific. You need to make it specific. Just ask me yes or no questions, because I am not following what you're saying.
That's a fairly specific question.
Yeah.
What was the question? If somebody asked me if I'm working with Madonna, I said no.
Because you're saying the idea is to help people in something that they want to do, but they have to know what they're doing. So John's asking, is there anyone that you're currently working with that fits that criteria?
You want to know their name?
No, he's just wanting to know like what kind of people you work with right now.
Yeah, that's it.
Kind of people. Okay,
Yeah, like,
what do they do?
Like,
ask me a yes or no question.
All right. Are you working with anybody right now?
Yes.
So what are you working with them right now? What's their profession that you're working with them right now about?
Okay, so
is it business? Yeah, okay. What type of business?
Okay, the current person that I'm working with right now is someone who is transferring from employee to entrepreneur. I do that as well. My preference is to work with people who are already entrepreneurial, who already have a somewhat steady income and just want to take not their business, because you can't take your business to the next level. That's impossible. You can't take an inanimate object to the next level. So a lot of people ask me, Roy, how do I take my business to the next level? Well, first of all, ask the right question, because you can't take your business to the next level. Your business is only going to be as good as you are. So therefore, if you don't know what you don't know, your business won't know anything, because your business can't think. Your business doesn't make decisions. You do.
This person that you're currently working with, who's transferring from being employed to being an entrepreneur, what are he or she looking to do?
Okay.
Their business.
To do as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, their business.
So,
what business are they looking to start?
Right. So they're calling. Here's what you need to do. You need to understand the plan and purpose and passion that God has for you specifically. If you don't know this, then you will do like most people do and be miserable in whatever it is that seems to be your either employment or your business, and you're not going to be happy in it because you're not doing what God.
I got you. Okay. So this person that you're specifically working with now, what is God calling he or she to do now? Or is she
to serve the autistic community in specific, but the special needs parents community in general.
Okay. So I'm gathering this is something dear to their heart. They probably have an autistic child.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. See, that wasn't too hard. Took a little bit, but we got it out of here.
Well, you guys know the drill. You know, it's like if I don't understand, then just ask me yes or no questions, because eventually you'll hit it. You know me. It's like, yeah, can't ask me open-ended questions because those are way too tough to answer. Maybe that's where you guys live, but I certainly don't live there. My life is very black and white, because if you don't know,
yes, we know that. We know that, Roy.
then your life is going to be all over the place, and you won't know how to answer. So, can you answer the question, John? What problem do you solve, and for whom?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Awesome.
But I don't do that in G+ because I don't. Yeah.
No. I'm not asking you to. I just want to know yes or no. Can you do it? Because that's what's necessary for me,
most definitely,
and other people, right? To be able to, if you want referral partners, if you want people to refer you to talk about you and give word of mouth references, then they need to know this. They need to know who you serve and what problem you solve for them.
That's right.
So the problem I'm going to be solving, helping this young lady with her calling, is to provide the special needs parenting community with the greatest resource of all, each other. a search engine where they can find each other. John, guys, I know nothing about the special needs community. I don't even know anybody who has a special needs child. And why God called me to do this, first and foremost, to enter into this genre, is still kind of sort of beyond me. But I'm not going to ask him why when the answer is not evident. I just know there's the person. And if the person is there, again, I know what I'm doing. I just don't know who I'm doing it with. Now that I know of who I'm doing it with, I just do what I do best, and that is connect people with each other. And if I can put two people together who then can become best friends and or marital partners and or, because here's another thing I found out, guys, is that within the special needs community, the divorce rate is 85%. 85%. When a parent or parents find out that they have a special needs child, the likelihood of them divorcing is 85%. That is unhealthy. That is not happy for me. And when I heard that, I said, okay, I can do something about that. I can help you.
So much for rich or poor, sick in health, and yeah,
they bail, and it's usually the guy that bails on the wife. Not that that's the case all the time, but usually that's the case. And then the woman is left to fend for her singleness with her child, which is going to be an ongoing thing for some families.
And then put on top of, well, I guess part of that is also, well, not only I'm sure it's got to be very stressful, very.
Absolutely.
You need a certain level of patience to deal with a special needs child. Yeah. So if this person that you're working with can help families like that, counseling or something like that, and that'd be awesome. But on top of that is, the financial strains that most middle America dealing with anyway, and which causes many divorces. I would say, yeah, money's right up there, right? Money issues. Special needs children sure need extra services, and that.
Absolutely, everything is magnified, right, John?
Yeah.
Everything is
Everything
magnified.
seems to get magnified, and I mean, I don't know. Lyrics might. I don't know if Lyrics might want to speak to this because he has some experience there.
Sure.
Dealing with having a. So. Lyrics just got back.
What? What?
You just got back. Well, Roy was mentioning how his current client is, someone who wants to be, someone who wants to help families with kids who are autistic. And Roy was just mentioning how the divorce rate is, he says, 85% amongst couples who have autistic children. I guess the extra stress and strain on finances and stuff like that. This client he's working with can possibly help families like that. So I was just sharing, you have, some experience. You've shared, your child being autistic, correct?
Yeah.
Because
you have an autistic.
What's the question?
You have an autistic child?
My son's autistic. Yes, my son's autistic. Yes.
How old is he? 6?
6. Yeah.
Wow. So is her child. And she has a autistic child, nonverbal, a boy. And he does a lot of stimming, right? Stimulating, where he's very verbal, but he's nonverbal. In other words, he cannot talk. He can barely understand basic commands. Even at 6 years old, he's been assessed to have the mind of like a 6-month-old who can barely recognize like just basic commands that you and I take for granted every day. And he's very loud almost all the time because his sensory perception, it's just that he's got to flail his arms, and he makes a lot of mum, these kinds of sounds and everything like that. So I had no idea that this was even part of society. I mean, I understood special needs, but I didn't understand autism, and I didn't understand nonverbal. And God placed this lady in my path, and we've become good friends. And I want to help her with what her calling happens to be, which she was somewhat aware of, but she didn't know Jesus at all. And when I introduced her to him, it was like, oh my goodness, yes, I'm in. It's that simple. Is you in or is you out, right? This is basically what I asked her, and she says, I is in. So how's your son? What your son is not nonverbal? I'm taking it.
He's not. I would. What's the question? Like, what can you do to help her?
No. So I was explaining to John what I am doing for this friend of mine who is also a student of mine, who is also a client of mine, all wrapped into one. First and foremost, I need to work with someone I can be a friend with. Hence the term net friending, not networking. I'm not here just to extract money from people. I'm here to befriend them and help them as a friend. If we can be friends, then you can work with me. But if you happen to not be my friend or want to be my friend, but you serve a large audience of people, then I will take you on as well. And that's really what I'm doing when it comes to the net friending concept, because you may be serving people that I can become intimate, deep friends with of the divine kind. And so my friend has been following someone on Facebook who serves my exact audience. And she even said so. And she said, Roy, listen to this. She does a daily coffee talk, about 10 minutes or less. And she just, off the cuff, just like what you said, John, she doesn't have anything planned, just whatever happens in life. She's a mom of 3 kids, 8 years and under. And she did a Bravo TV show, a reality show in 2013 or 2014, I forget which, that lasted for 8 episodes. And so she's known as that. So she is somebody that was born in New Jersey, a Jersey girl, and she is now in Atlanta. So now she's a Southern belle. So she kind of had this reality show in the education of a Jersey girl becoming a Southern belle, so to speak, and what that all entails in a reality type show. So she has a daily coffee talk that she runs from her Facebook page. And she's accumulated almost 500,000 followers, of which my friend is one, and she introduced me to her. And it looks like we might be able to collaborate and or co-create something with her as soon as I put together something with her. So that's what we're in the process of doing right now. And we're doing that for the special needs parents community. So my concept is to connect special needs parents with each other, and hopefully they can also connect their kids with each other, because I've found out that one of the struggles and challenges is isolation and loneliness for the parents and for the kids. So if I can provide a virtual watering hole, if you will, and make it safe for parents and kids to share their shame and guilt stories with us in becoming more vulnerable and a better person, because now they don't have to go through and listen to all of the people shaming them in stores, in public. You know, some places are very special needs friendly, special needs family friendly. And my friend in Tennessee has a Olive Garden who caters to special needs families. And they're so awesome. And she takes her son every week, every Saturday for lunch. And they're so awesome. They cater to his special needs. And it's an amazing thing when you have businesses that get it. So one of the things we're also doing is helping to create awareness about this for people who are, you know, unaware, and then they all they want to do is just shame them. Shame on you for bringing your child in here. It's like, this is, you know, somebody brought their child to a opera, and the child was going through their thing, you know, and making all kinds of noise and sounds. And of course, this upsets a lot of the people that don't understand special needs parents and their kids. Why should this mom or this dad be kept from culturalizing, that's easy for me to say, their child with opera? Can't a few people cut this person some slack? But I guess not, because they want everybody to be like them. and that's one of the things I didn't like when people were doing that with me here. They wanted me to be just like them. Roy, why don't you act like this? Because, people like us act like this, not like you. Well, thank you, but no thank you. I don't want to be molded into your image, nor your image of what a friend looks like. So thank you very much. I might as well be a special needs person. Most people treat me like that, but you guys have always been pretty good to me. So that's why I'm here. Anyway, do you struggle? Do you have any struggles as a parent of a autistic child? Lyrics? Challenges?
Sure.
Wouldn't it be cool to find other people just like you who have not only their child in common, but a lot of other common things in common, like whatever your hobbies and or your special interests might be, to just, do like what you're doing here. Come together and just shoot the breeze, hang out, and or dig deep and grow as two people would in the parenting of such special needs kids. And that's what we're doing is we're providing that type of a haven, especially now with all of these really cool platforms for live streaming, starting with Google Plus and Google Hangouts. They sure opened my eyes to how quickly we can connect with people, right? I'm the speed relationship guy. I know I can build a relationship with someone in 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes with anybody, and I can tell you if I want to have a second meeting with them or not. So that's kind of sort of what I'm doing. Got any thoughts on that? Good, bad, or indifferent? And if you want, we might even, talk to you a little further, mano a mano, and see how maybe you might, want to contribute and or add to what we're doing, because I would love your insight.
Well, I'll be honest here, all right? It sounds fucking scam, what you're saying. I don't even understand what the hell you just said. You went over all these points.
Then you're not. So that's kind of sort of my target audience. It's that simple. I don't have to explain any more than that. We're done.
It sounded to me like what you were saying.
Exactly. The way you see it, Roy.
That you were looking for people online to hitch onto their marketing scheme, profit off of that, off of their ideas, and then like using like autistic kids and stuff as like a selling point, like a nice little jab into the soul of the person. Maybe I'm just not the target audience, dude. You're
not with that thinking. No,
I'm definitely not, dude.
No, so you don't think correctly.
I think it's definitely shamster ideology that you're putting forth. I mean, you'll
that's
say
your
this
opinion,
shit,
which is incorrect.
Right? You'll say this good shit, this happy stuff, this good stuff, and then you'll make comments like something about money. Like, I'm not there just to take money. I'm there to do this. What the hell are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. Doing? It doesn't matter because you don't understand.
It really doesn't matter then, I guess. I must not.
No, you don't understand. Therefore, you're not my target audience. Therefore, thank you very much for listening. But yeah,
seems like you're preying on religion and like
that's your opinion.
Autistic as a way to make money. Oh God.
Right. That's your opinion, which is incorrect. Yeah, you would do me much more harm than good. You're not for me. Therefore, I can't have you in my...
He means you're not conforming.
That's the exact thinking that you're not for me, right? It's about you. It's not about them. Shyster.
Well, Roy, I don't think you're a shyster. I think you've got positive. hey, Roy. I think you have positive vision, and it might be debatable. You could look at it. One could look at it negatively, or from a certain perspective. But I hereby uncertify you officially as a shyster. You are an unshyster. I have said it. Let it be written. Let it be done. And I love you, Roy. Good to see you around, sir.
Thanks, Tommy. I appreciate it. See you again.
You recognized his voice, Roy.
Oh, yeah. As they say, me and Tommy go way back.
I heard before. I want to bring it up. You mentioned when someone wants to bring a, autistic child, say, to an opera, right? There was an incident.
Yes.
Okay. All right. See, now in that situation, I don't know if it's exactly people not accepting someone who's autistic, or because they're gonna have some autistic don't have these little outbursts, right? Say things which can be disruptive in a theater or a movie theater, to other people there, almost like having a crying baby, And so is that fair to the people there who also paid money to, see the performance, that there be interruptions? It has nothing to do with, them being autistic, because they could just be a crying child. They could have someone with Tourette's, whatever. It becomes, an interruption. What's happening there? It's not the same situation like when you're in stuff like that. So I don't think it's necessarily, wrong to, ask someone to step outside or something like that, because it's disruptive to everyone else there, because they're paying to see a performance there,
Yeah, and that's your opinion. So I respect everyone's opinion. You're not entitled to your opinion, but you can have one. So there's a right and there's a wrong always. But if you live in the gray area, then there is no right and wrong, and you can do whatever you want. So, John, I'm pretty sure you live in the black and white, since you know that there is a God. Is that correct? Do you know right from wrong or not?
I don't think I live in the black and white. I know I do not know. I'm agnostic with leanings towards a belief in a God, theistic one, but I don't know. I don't know with a shadow of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, that there is a God, or that everything is God. Okay, so yeah, I'm not black and white when it comes to that. But with this situation here, I it has nothing to be. I'm not trying to be discriminatory against an autistic person. It's just in the context of someone being disruptive in a theater. I think it is wrong. Yes, I think it's wrong to have that, disruption in a theater where people are paying money to see a performance, especially a live performance, which could be disruptive to the people who are performing. And hecklers, or people throwing tomatoes at you. I mean, you just don't want that. Trying to do a performance. You want
Right,
at least
and that's
many
your opinion.
Well,
So
I think it's
everybody has
practical.
their own opinion, and
Right.
so
I think it's
obviously the mother and
practical.
father of this child that they're attempting to culture, just like everybody else,
Then
has a
there
different
might
opinion.
then special needs children probably need special places to do these things where it's catered to that. Because say if you have 10 children who are autistic or have Tourette's in a theater performing, I mean, it could be chaos. It could be and people be pretty upset.
So who do you think the problem lies with? Is it the building, that they didn't take special needs kids and adults into consideration, or is it because they want to segregate those with special needs from those who don't have special needs, and it should be something that the individual does? Where do you think the problem lies, and how do you fix this?
Well, like I said, you might have to set up a situation, say a theater or some kind of performance, where it is, geared towards special needs, or you expose them to different types of culture in some other way.
Well, I have a better question. How would you, because if you go to like a play or a live show or something like that, how would you compensate for people that have those conditions, that blurting out and being disruptive is a part of it? How would you compensate for that or fix that issue, Roy?
Yeah, it's very simple. Churches do it, right? Churches have special rooms for moms who are either breastfeeding and or who have crying babies who might, still need mama's attention. They don't want to leave them in the nursery. So they have special rooms that they can still be part of the service, but no one else has to hear their crying or see their breast out while they're breastfeeding. It's the same thing. All they have to do, the building just needs to be accommodating. And in a time such as we are, the 21st century, this should not be a problem, especially since they probably don't have very many people all at once who have special needs kids. This just happened to be one incident. It was recorded, and the stage manager had something to say. I forget exactly how this happened. It's online. You might want to look at it. I think it was Phantom of the Opera, if I don't remember. If I remember correctly, it was Phantom of the Opera. You might want to do something like special needs, autism, something to that effect, and find this particular video and see how the stage manager, I think he was the stage manager or somebody part of the actual play, and how they dealt with it and what they had to say to the person or persons who were.
So you're proposing. So you're proposing like these theaters have a special room, perhaps with a video feed of the performance for,
Well, no, not a video feed, but an actual feed where they can actually see still, and just put these, because that's the way it is in church. You see the actual live pastor. You may have a video feed as well, but you can still see everything live. You're still part of the congregation. You're just in a soundproof booth, in a soundproof room, where you can do your thing, and a sea-proof room, like if you're breastfeeding, because you have the glass or the mirror, the one-way, whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? So just make accommodations.
Breastfeeding. Breastfeeding and then special needs children. We're going to put them in the same category. And now, are you asking for a mandate that theaters and do this?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. If they don't want to, they don't have to, and they can say we don't cater to your. They can discriminate all they want, or however you want to look at that. It's everybody's right. If the government says you have to do this, then of course you have to. Am I the one to say, hey, make them do this? No, absolutely not. But if you don't care about,
if they choose not to do it, whether it be cost or whatever or not, it doesn't necessarily make them discriminating, right? It just might be for them it's business.
Well, see, once again, that's opinion, right? So just because
but it's also your
opinion, like anyone,
it's your opinion that they're discriminating, though. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying some people might think that they are.
Well, you used the word, so I assume that you took the position. So
no, I don't take the position that they're discriminating. I take the position that they don't want to do what is. See, this in this case, okay. Let's say you have an establishment and you want to cater to the public, okay? Or you have an establishment and you don't want to cater to the public. You want to make it exclusive. I don't want any 20-year-olds. I don't want nobody that's between, let's say, 20 and 30. You guys can't come in. You have to be 31 and above to come in. Okay, that's your right. You get to do that. And if somebody says that you're discriminating, well, that's their opinion. Sure. And if the law of the land comes in and says, hey, you can't do that, then okay, you can't do that. You got to follow the law of the land. And then you can just move somewhere else where the law of the land doesn't say that. Then you can go ahead and serve the public that way.
Well, thank you, Roy. As a father, I own a 20-year-old son who has a light case of Asperger's, which is related to autism.
It is. And they're starting to change that diagnosis a little bit too, Tommy. I don't know if you know that. So it's weird. They have the spectrum, which is true. Everybody's different, and you have to be taught different. So they want to teach everybody the same way in the first grade, in the third grade, in the 12th grade. If the teacher is an introvert, then she teaches from her introvert ways, and she doesn't tell the extroverts, hey, look, I'm introvert, so some of these things that I'm going to be teaching you are from that position and from that viewpoint. So you be individual and, modify it for your extroversion or any of the other things that people need to take into account, because I don't know how many times people have been stopped from talking in class when that's their nature. It's their nature to talk. They've been stifled. And when they grow up, they've been taught to stifle this creativeness. And I'm totally against that. So I think every child should be taught according to how their personality type is, which is very biblical. Proverbs 22:6 will tell you that. But a lot of people don't go by what is true. They just want to make things up as they go along, and especially our education system, because it's too hard. We can't do that. We got 30 kids in the class. No, it's not too hard. You let it get away from you, and you need to go back to your roots.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if your efforts to advocate children with Asperger's will be perfect. They may not be perfect in every way, but thank you nonetheless. On behalf of
absolutely. I believe that every child has or should have an opportunity to be their best self. And if they are forced to be in a classroom situation where the state or the government or whatever in any country on the planet has anything to do with forcing them to do something that is not natural for them. Example, you must write with your right hand. I don't care if you're left-handed. You shall write with your right hand, and you may have to work at it a little harder than the others who have the right-handed component naturally, but you will do it. That's what I'm against. There's a quote for that, right? Hey, there's a one-liner for that. Einstein said, I forget the exact quote. I should look that up, so I say it exactly. Anybody know the one about the fish that Einstein said? I have it here, so let me look this up really quick.
The fish? Judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
There you go. There you go, that one.
Oh, nice, Joe.
Yeah, awesome. Let me see. I have it here, right here.
Yeah, I'd just like to just add a couple of notes of realism. I know realism is probably not the thing you want to hear, but I would just, because it's live and stuff, I think a balanced view in some respects would be beneficial. Parents dealing with some extreme forms of special needs children, it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of extra stress. And just to say, because, parents have a higher divorce rate when they have special needs children, I don't think that should be just stated as if it's denigrating the parents, right? It is a special situation, and not everybody is able to cope. And I would applaud anybody that wants to genuinely do good for people in that field, because it's extremely emotional for the parents, right? They're dealing with something which, nobody should have to. Really, if there's a God, this shouldn't happen, to be honest with you, Roy. And it disappoints me that some kind of blind faith towards just wishing it better, that's my fear, right? That people go into that area of medicine or helping people in charity ways without the realization that it's a special condition, and people shouldn't be blamed for struggling to deal with it, right? So I just wanted to add that note of realism. I mean, I know people that have had to put up with extremely difficult children, and it's torn their love apart, right? And some of them stick with it and some of them don't, but it destroys. And that's got to be recognized, I think. So let's not be too rash to say, divorcing parents because they have special needs children. It might be the right thing to do. It might be a better way to care for the child. So anyway, I just wanted to put the other side of it.
I appreciate that. So what you're saying is that if there's no other option, divorce.
Well, I'm saying it's down to the individuals,
I understand that. It's an
immense strain on a marriage to have a special needs child. if you're not, especially if you're not able to provide extra financial benefits for that child, if you're having to struggle to provide those extra financial benefits which special children need, then yeah, it becomes, you know, it becomes a living hell for some people, and we shouldn't blame them for that.
And even in some cases,
that,
like,
you know,
So
Go ahead.
just real quick, let me address what I'm hearing, because I don't know if I'm hearing what I'm hearing.
Okay, cool.
So since, do you believe in God? Do you believe in the fact that if God is going to give you a kid, which is a gift from Him, that He's going to give you a rotten gift? Yes or no?
No, I disagree. Right, I think it's a you know, I think this is. I think we need to be bigger than our own beliefs on a subject like special needs children. Right? Unless we walk in those shoes, we can't say and we can't condemn.
Oh, no. I'm not condemning, if that's what you think. Here's what I'm saying.
I was just trying to. It came across that way a little bit. It came across that way a little bit, Roy, which is why I wanted to just put the other side on, because the divorce rate is higher. I don't think that has any bearing at all on the love that the parents have. Right?
I never said that.
I think we need to be no, but it was sure. It was an implied by stating the fact. Right? Unless we
not by me, it wasn't
I
implied. No, I don't think that way.
Well, so to say by pointing out that the divorce rate is higher.
I'm not
by pointing out that the divorce rate is higher.
Think.
That would necessarily include to somebody of reasonable mind that there was a problem, that the parents are somehow deficient because they are divorcing at higher rates. Because the divorce rate is higher.
It's not that the parents are deficient, it's that they're bailing.
Yeah.
They are not.
But they may not be
failing responsibility, because God will never give you a gift that's rotten. Every good gift comes from God.
So you are implying that,
children.
Ray. So you are implying that, Roy.
Implying what?
Well, you are implying that the parents are at fault here for divorcing in higher rates.
Okay, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when God gives you a child, it is a gift. It's a good gift, not a bad gift, not a rotten gift. When a parent divorces because of their special needs child, then I'm saying they're bailing, that they're not living up to the responsibility and the gift that God gave them, because He already empowered them to be able to take care of this child with special needs. If they don't want to step up to the plate, that's what I'm talking about. And when they do step up to the plate, they won't divorce.
But divorcing, you're kind of implying that it's because of the autistic child. It could be the factors that surround the autistic, like financial was brought up, right? Emotional stress was brought up.
And all of that is taken care of by God. See, if you don't understand what God does as a parent, then you're going to think like you do.
What does that mean, though? Like you say,
when God guides, He provides. Do you believe that? Yes or no?
Well, when my bank account says zero, right? Let's put ourselves in this hypothetical situation. Let's say I have an autistic child and my bank account says zero, and the next session for therapy or whatever is going to cost me $600, and I don't have $600, and neither does my wife. None of us have the money to pay for it, and that becomes a strain on us because the child can't do therapy, and now we're forced to deal with the child without therapy, and that's going to bring emotional stress on us now as well because we can't financially pay for the therapy. Where does God come in and take care of all of that?
Okay, again, you're misunderstanding how God works in the lives and hearts.
I must be then, because it's...
Yeah, because God will take care of you. When God guides, He provides. Do you believe that? Yes or no?
I don't believe in God.
Okay, well, that's your problem.
Well, it's not a problem. I'm trying to ask you where the intervention takes place.
No, it is a problem.
Because if it's just something that accumulates over time, if it's just something that's over a period of time and eventually you'll be taken care of, that's not how people operate. We're pragmatic for the most part. We deal with the problems as they come. And if you can't deal with a certain problem, I'm not justifying people splitting up families, but I'm saying those are the results of things like that. And if your God is not providing within a reasonable time frame for people, some people will break, and some people will lose their cool. Some people will lose their patience, right? And they'll try to find other avenues.
But see, God will always provide. Why do you even have an
Excuse me, guys. I have a comment. I have a comment to what you're saying and a question. First, comment as far as okay, the 85% divorce rate of parents with autistic children, but you know, sometimes I would say a comment is that sometimes it is better for the child that parents divorce than to be in a household where there's a lot of hostility and an argument, lack of love. You know, the child's not exposed to it.
Autistic
So in some case, that's my comment. So it might even be better for the child. My other question, my question is this, Roy. Okay, 85%. Okay, we have a divorce rate now easily over 50%. It's the same in the secular world as it is in the church. So my question is,
I disagree. No, if you take a look at the people, not people in the church, people who are born again. If you take a survey of every couple where both people within the couple are born again, and you ask them what the divorce rate is there, I bet it's less than 1%. Go ahead.
I would, well, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, we're just going to differ there in opinion, and I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to take that survey. So first of all, they have to be born again. They can't just say that they're going to church, because a lot of people don't even understand that born again is what God wants you to do, not just go to church or say I believe in God, because you could believe in navel length and call it God. You understand what I'm saying?
But you specifically was saying that, you know, a God believer, right? A God believing couple, right? If they're believing in God and they're believing that this is a gift from God, that they will endure, right? Right, the struggles they're going to go through because they believe in God. Now, wait, let me finish, Roy. All right, I let you finish. I let you talk. So, you know, if the stats, and I don't believe it's just less than 1%, but you know, from the places I read, it seems that the church, you know, it seemed that the divorce rate is about the same as, you know, anyone else.
It can't be. That's the life of Satan, and you believe it. So, okay, I get it, but I have to tell you that that's not true. Go ahead.
Okay, now you're just denying facts, and that's not.
No. You show me the survey where I get to determine whether or not that person is born again, because you can't determine that. You have no way of determining that. Only a person who is born again can determine if a person is born again. It's just like
only God.
So I think we've kind of moved subject a little bit here, onto you know, whether people that are religious, where both people are religious and believe exactly the same thing, whether that helps them stick together. Yeah, I've got to think that in the long run, anything that you believe in common with your spouse is probably going to help you stick together. I don't really think that's an issue. I think the issue is condemning people at 85% of the time that divorce when they have special needs children. Once again, Roy, I don't mind whether you bring your God thing to it or not. Of course I don't, because if you're helping people, that's the human thing, right? So that agrees with my human sort of nature, if you like, okay? Or at least human outlook. But my problem here, Roy, is once again, when you make it black and white, right? It's not black and white. These are special needs children. Special needs means it's not black and white. Special. Right? The situation is much more complicated, and all you have to do is live with somebody for a short while with one of these children to find out that life is about exactly the things that you say you profess in one half of the sentence by saying I just want to be friends, right? But then you say in the other half of the sentence I don't just want to make money from it. Right? This is a conflict, Roy. Okay? So I'm saying to you, just get off the special needs thing, right? Get off the special needs thing about being some kind of test from God or et cetera, and get onto reality where you need to help these people financially, right? Because poor people who have special needs children have a much higher financial burden. And that's what it comes down to. That's why the divorce rates are higher. Right? It's okay if you can pay somebody else to look after your son. I know people in that situation. Right?
Okay,
right?
so
but get off this. I'm going to be making money from this particular group of people, because that is immoral, right? Because they already have a higher financial burden and a higher emotional burden and a higher societal burden, because people don't want to hang out with people that have special needs children, if they're always in tow, right? Right,
So
finding
again,
it, how are you going to find a babysitter? How are you going to find a babysitter? How are you going to find a babysitter?
So okay, let me explain this.
Obviously.
Let me explain this. We're not on the same page. You are way
Of course
in
we're
another
not,
book.
Roy.
You're in another book completely. Okay, so you're not even on the same page, much less the same paragraph, much less the same sentence, much less the same word. So
Sure.
my calling now is to help a person who is a parent of a special needs child. Do you understand that? And when they're about to divorce because they don't know what they don't know, then I can help them with my friend to tell them what they don't know. So now they can make a new decision and go, "Ow, I didn't know that. So if I do A instead of B, now I don't need to divorce." That's what I'm saying.
So once again, Roy, how do you know it if you've never walked a mile in their footsteps?
My friend has. That's why I'm teaming up with her.
Right. Sure.
My friend is in that situation. She is.
That's great.
Okay.
So that's great, Roy. That's
Everybody's
wonderful.
situations are different.
I worry because your friend, in inverted commas, is presumably under emotional stress dealing with his child, right?
Well, not
and
anymore.
if you don't genuinely have the answers, what, she doesn't deal with the child?
Okay, hold on. What you just said was true before she met me. Now, it is no longer true of her. She is perfectly fine and understands her calling.
Right. So she's redoubled her efforts.
With anybody, and we can do this.
So I'm hearing from that she's redoubled her efforts to look after the child and make the sacrifices necessary to do that.
Her problem or her challenge was that her spouse, she has since divorced.
Yeah.
Simply because, well, he cheated on her, and it really didn't have anything to do with the special needs child. So when you put this into the statistics, then it's unfortunate that it might get lost in translation, as they say, because they're not divorcing because of the special needs child.
I would disagree with you anyway there, Roy, because from my experience in seeing couples which have special needs children, the special needs children take the priority in life. They just dominate the entire relationship.
Absolutely, but not to the point of detrimenting the relationship between husband and wife, because
that depends on the people.
Most assuredly, yeah. Assuredly it does.
No,
of course it does. Of course
it doesn't. It doesn't. It can if they bail.
Yes, it does.
If they bail, it will.
Yes, it
but
does.
if they don't bail,
yes, it does. No bailing.
Bailing,
no bailing.
The horse here. You're putting the cart before the horse. You gotta take it step by step, right?
Bailing or not bailing, right, makes no difference. It definitely adds more stress to the relationship. If they can deal with the stress, they stay together. If they can't deal with the stress, they don't stick together.
You just run by that like everybody.
And what we're saying here is the relationships with these extra stressful children, right, tend not to last because they're more stressful. I don't see what you would find difficult about that.
So,
now, if this particular guy is unable, he's been unable to deal with his wife, right, and say to his wife, look, I need time away from this child. I can't take this anymore. I'm under great stress. And she's gone, oh, well, look, I'm under great stress as well. Then where do they go? Okay, yes, they can pray about it. They can pray about it. That's fine. But what I would suggest is at least some kind of practical counseling with an expert, not somebody who's just going to point them into the direction of the Bible, number one. And number two, they need financial help if that's actually the cause of the stress, which, let's face it, in most divorces is.
Right.
Okay. So I disagree with everything you said because you're in the wrong book.
Much.
You're in the wrong book.
No, Roy.
Here's the book I want you to focus in on.
No, Roy.
You have a couple. Okay, just listen to my scenario. You have a couple. They have no children. They want a child. Both people are living the life that God had planned for them. They have a child. It's a special needs child. There's no stress. God has already provided them with the ability to take care of this child in all aspects, from finances to comfort, and he's given them the ability to grow as husband and wife each and every day with the special needs child. Now, what happens in a household like this, if they're not following God's plan for their life, they're on their own, so to speak. And that's the book that you're talking about. You're talking about, Roy, what if people don't follow the plan of God for their life together with this special needs child? And I'm saying to you, if they're not, they're on their own. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm only talking about the people who don't know to follow God's word. I will help them, my friend will help them to tell them, look, there's a different way. Maybe your parents didn't tell you about God, but we are. He's here to help you. He wants to provide everything for you because he gave you an opportunity to do what you need to do along the way to get here to this point. Now, if by sheer ignorance you got here, okay, so no one has ever poured into you about the Lord and you have never denied it, you just are ignorant, then he can still take your situation. And that's why myself and my friend and everybody like us are here to help you. God will send that person, me or her or someone else, to you, to that person, to let them know the truth, and they can take the right or wrong road. It's up to them.
Sure.
Now, once they take the wrong road, they're in your book. Once they take the right road, they're in my book.
I know you think that, Roy. That's fine. This is what I find most immoral about Christianity, and this is what makes me an anti-theist, right? It's when people proclaim that their expertise will be catered for because it's God's word, right? That really fucking pisses me off. And I'll tell you why it pisses me off. It's because these particular children have a wide spectrum of behavior, right? It's not about one size fits all, right? It can't be about one size fits all because they all respond in different ways. Right. So when you come along and say, yeah, don't worry about it, I've got one solution. You just fucking believe in God and everything's going to be all right, because he'll get you some money for that therapy session. He'll get you some money so your child can have extra books, right, that may help in some way. He'll get you that extra money so you can pay for a more expensive babysitter so you can get out once in a while and at least retain your own sanity, right? These are the practical things that need to happen, and you're not suggesting any of them, right? And this is what pisses me off, Roy. It's the fact that you are arrogant enough to assume, right, that everything that they need will be provided for.
Absolutely. And you're arrogant to think that God won't do that. So you think that God is incapable of doing that?
I don't think God does anything. God doesn't exist.
That's your problem.
Roy.
That's why you
it's
don't
not a
see
problem,
what I'm
Roy.
talking about.
It's not a problem because
why
I have
do you want
compassion.
to mold me into your image of seeing the world incorrectly?
I have compassion, but it's not a problem, Roy, because I have compassion for these parents that have to suffer and have extra stress on their relationship.
And you're suggesting
they do have to suffer. They do have to suffer, Roy. You don't suffer. You don't suffer, Roy. You don't suffer. You don't have to walk a mile in their shoes. You don't do that. Right? So I'm sorry, you're no expert. You've got no psychological training on these conditions. You've got no medical training on these conditions. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to special needs in the first place.
Which is wrong.
It's not my opinion, Roy. It's what you've demonstrated.
Your opinion. You don't know.
It's what you have demonstrated
then you have no
hangout.
No.
It is what you have demonstrated in this particular hangout by your ignorance,
Here's what I'm going to do.
By your ignorance on the subject of special needs children and implying that an 85% divorce rate is somehow unacceptable in God's eyes. You're a twat for doing that. Okay. You're an immoral twat.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take everything that you said and say to you, thank you for sharing that with people who care the way that you care, okay? And the people who know the truth will take what you said and discern it. It's really that simple. We don't have to argue, because I don't argue. It takes two people to argue. I'm just simply putting the truth on the table for you to examine. You examined it. You are rejecting it. You are suppressing it. And I'm not
suppressing it, Roy. I'm not suppressing it. It's your opinion, right? That's all it is your opinion. I'm trying to point you and other people out there, more importantly, away from this message, because this message needs to be about professionals getting involved. These
here's
people
my
need
challenge to you.
they need real help. They need financial support. They need societal support. And they need professional support from the medical profession to deal with the behavioral patterns that their child learns.
Here's what I'm putting on the table.
You put anything on the table. You put it all on the table already, Roy. You put everything on the table. You said it's God.
And come back to me.
Everything on the table. What more can you put on the table?
Right. One at a time. Take a deep breath. Come on.
No, all I'm saying is, he has this way of doing things. Do it. I have my way of doing things. I'm going to do it. There's no need for us to even agree to disagree, because you just do what you're supposed to do on the planet, what God calls you to do. And if God calls you to help these people, then go help them for a year. I'll go help them for a year. We'll come back and we'll compare notes to see who's doing a better job of helping these people. It's really that simple. You can talk all you want. You can say that I have an opinion all you want, but it's not an opinion. It is God's law. It is God's word. And since you suppress that knowledge, then yeah, you're going to come up with a completely different book.
Well, that's your opinion.
No, that's the truth.
Can you show me, or maybe think about this in the future. Come back to me. All right. If you can show me some kind of evidence, some kind of study, stats, or anything, all right, that will show that parents who are Christian, God-believing, born-again Christian parents who have autistic children, their marriages and their family fared better than someone who, sought out counseling and got assistance that they needed.
What would that?
Outside of the God.
What would that prove to you?
Well, it would be the evidence and the proof to, for you especially, it'd be beneficial for you to show the proof that those who are God believers, who trust in God to take care of their needs solely, that their marriages fare better than those of who are not believers.
Yeah, that is the God's truth. Absolutely, it happens every time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Demonstrate that. Can you demonstrate that or show that with any kind of evidence?
You're asking for like some data or something.
Yeah.
So okay, again, if I do, what will that prove to you?
That there's something to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because right now, no one's believing.
Will you accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your savior?
Well, it's not that. It's look.
So you're looking for proof,
Roy. This is fairly simple. It's not proof. If you could show with data that your method is more effective than the current method that we have through like medical science, psychology, therapy, all of these things.
I'm telling you, it's already out there.
So show it. Put it in the side chat.
Why do I need to show you anything? I said it's already out there. You have Google just like I do.
Okay, so I can just dismiss what you're saying, and we can all continue doing what we're normally doing.
Okay, John wanted proof. John, you know Google as well as I do. Go out there. It's already out there. Ask them. Ask the God-fearing parents who have a daughter.
You know how it works. Well, you know how it works here. Roy. Those who make the claim, have to provide the evidence.
I'm not claiming anything. All I'm doing is sharing God's word. When you share God's word, there is no opinion. This is not of my own thinking. This is what God has already put together for us to live our lives by. If we step outside the boundaries of His word, we're on our own.
In your opinion,
what evidence would be sufficient? Let me ask you this, Roy. What evidence would be sufficient for someone else to bring to you this case of autistic families that you are wrong? What evidence would be good for you to change your mind?
There is none. See, once you understand God's word, it applies to every person everywhere. And it's the same in Japan. It's the same in Canada. It's the same on Tuesday. It's the same on Friday. There is no difference.
Here's a very important question. And this goes back to other questions. It goes back to the previous conversation.
Let me explain this to you.
So just one simple question. Just one simple question. So, is there any way that you can be wrong?
No, there's no way I'm wrong. No.
There we go, John.
And then that's where the conversation ends.
That's where we're gonna have to end.
If you guys think you can be wrong, right?
Open to the idea, I think I could.
Wait a second. If you guys think you can be wrong, then why are you in this conversation with me who knows that you're wrong?
Because you're claiming to know. That's the difference, right? That's the whole difference here. You're saying that you're not even willing to be open to the possibility that you could be wrong. To you, it's like it's impossible that you're wrong. There's no way that you're wrong. right? So there's no point of talking to somebody that's that way, because you're not willing
Right.
to have an open
It's
conversation.
exactly what I'm saying. So
What we're sitting here, what we're asking you to do is to change our minds, right? Is that
I can't do that.
This
You
is
think I
obviously
can do that?
something. So then what's the point of trying to do what you're doing then?
Wait. Do you think I can change your mind?
You could with evidence. If you're saying that
it's impossible for me to change your mind. Only you can change your mind.
Roy, you're way too black and white thinking.
No. No one can change anybody else's mind. That's not how God put us together.
We change each other's minds all the time.
You're the only one that is in possession of your own mind.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna play the meta game.
Unless
Roy,
you're not of sound mind, like a special needs child is not of sound mind. Go ahead.
Roy, isn't the nature of your business, the website and everything, isn't the nature of your business to change the minds of those who are looking to find their purpose?
Nope, not at all. I can't do that.
No, what?
See, that's the fallacy that you guys have when you don't believe what God has already said.
What fallacy?
You can't mind control anybody that is not going to allow you to control their mind. So you might find people that say, "Oh yes, John, control my mind. Joseph, control my mind." I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that you want to change their mind, but they don't want you to. You can't do that. You don't have that kind of power. All you can do is provide information, the truth, put it on a table. They can examine it inside, outside, upside, downside, left side, right side, and then they decide one of two things. One, they're going to profess, or two, they're going to suppress. That's all they can do with the truth. And you guys want to suppress the truth. I don't know why. I have some good, ideas. Until you really,
we're saying the same thing. We're saying you want to suppress the truth, so so that.
But you don't even know the truth because you could be wrong. I can't be wrong. So you take a person who thinks that they might be wrong, and you take a person who knows that they're not wrong, and who is going to win in that? Not a debate.
I could give you plenty of reasons why you're wrong.
Roy, the difference,
you could be wrong.
Well, Roy, the difference is in that head-to-head, right? The person who says that they know that they can't be wrong typically would be able to show why that is the case. You're not able to do that. All you've been saying,
believe it. You want to suppress it.
Well, let him finish, Roy. Let him finish, Roy.
All you've been saying.
No. There's nothing to finish. Okay, so let me show you. Let me show you that you want to suppress the truth.
You can show me the Bible because that's.
I can take you proof that God says He hates divorce. The only reason you are to divorce is if you have a heart of heart against your spouse for cheating on you, and then you can divorce. Other than that, you don't divorce. Now, what more proof do you need than that?
Roy, that's a claim from the Bible. That's what the other half of my sentence was, is the only thing that you can point to say, I know that I'm right, is the Bible.
That's correct. Now, what do you use besides the Bible for truth?
I use facts. I'll show you some medical evidence of what works and what doesn't work. Right.
Facts.
Yes.
Show me where there's a fact that says it's okay to divorce, other than your spouse cheating on you.
Divorce. It's not okay or not okay to divorce. That depends on the people, right? If you want to get a divorce because it's probably better for your family, then it's probably better that you get a divorce.
It's never better for your famletunless, of course,
for some families, divorces have been some of the greatest gifts.
Oh my goodness!
Given to them for some families.
All right, let's move on to the next topic because once I show you the truth, and I prove to you that this is true, and you suppress it, we're done.
There's nothing you can show me. Show me
brought up something. Hold on. Brought up something interesting, right? In the Bible, right? It says for the only reason to divorce is right if a partner is unfaithful, there's adultery, right? Right.
Yeah. If you're heart of heart and you don't want to forgive, then the Lord says it's okay to use your hard heart to not forgive and to divorce. That's the only reason you can divorce. If she burns the toast, or if he, sleeps in too late, or doesn't take out the garbage, that's no reason to divorce.
Adultery is the only reason.
The only reason he gives, but even then he says, forgive. And if you can't forgive, then I give you permission to divorce. That's it.
What about in the cases of domestic abuse addressed in the Bible?
Okay. Do you think God would have addressed that if he would have said it's okay? He can fix himself. She can fix herself.
No, I'm saying if it's dangerous for a woman to be in a marriage because she's being physically abused, does she have the right to divorce?
According to God's law, no, she doesn't have the right to divorce.
So it's God's will for her to stay in an abusive marriage where she could quite possibly be killed.
Right. Let's say she's waiting for him to get better and she gets killed in that process because God says it's best to wait for people to heal themselves. But in between the waiting process, he stabs her to death.
Okay. So you guys are missing the point, right?
Right, we are.
Yeah.
We're the ones
So the
missing
point,
No,
the point
you're
is,
missing the point.
even if you divorce, you're still doing something against God's law. Okay. So if it's to save your life, okay, since God said the only other reason is adultery and you can't forgive for adultery, do you think that God already knew that there would be spousal abuse? Of course he did. But he, even in spousal abuse
woman
cases,
didn't know.
He
The
didn't say
before she married the guy.
in spousal abuse cases.
We're talking about
It's
people
still wrong. But I don't blame the person for divorcing. I don't blame the person for divorcing if they're anti-God in a relationship and they get a special needs kid and they kill the kid. I don't blame them. That's up to them. They have to answer for themselves. I'm not going to judge them. There's no need to. God's already judged them. He already wrote down his law for us to follow. So the person who realizes I am domestically violent against my spouse, male or female, I need help. That's what they need to do. If they're a God-fearing person, they will seek out help. And their spouse, if they're God-fearing, will give them all the space that they need to do that. It's that simple.
But what if the help they tells them you should divorce your husband? But God clearly says no.
Who's going to say divorce your husband?
Anybody with sense. Anyone.
Yeah.
If a woman is being abused throughout her entire relationship from beginning up until the point she seeks help, anyone with a heart and a brain would say, I think it's best that you leave him because the situation doesn't seem to be improving. And unless you want to end up dead or possibly beaten within an inch of your life, I would leave the person. Now, if your advice is, well, no, God will take care of it all, just stay with him. And
no, that's not my advice. No, that's not my advice.
What would your advice be then? Let's hear the wise words of Roy.
I just told you what it is. The person who's abusing gets help, and the person who's being abused helps him get the help.
So let's say in between that time, she's killed.
Okay, so what? There's people getting killed all the time.
So what? So you're telling me still that your advice is better than telling the woman to leave the person who could potentially kill her?
Okay, you're missing again. You're missing the point. Okay.
No. I get what you're saying. You're saying that the person who is the abuser obviously needs to get help, which is I'm sure everyone in here can agree on. That's not where the point of disagreement is.
Okay, but wait a second. Stop right there. Wait. Stop right there. Stop right there. Now, we have laws? Hold it.
Saying what I'm saying.
No, I don't care what you have to say next. I really don't.
Well, no, because it's important. It's very important.
It's not important. Because
One at a time. Here's
what's important. Listen to me. Is there laws in place that says that he can't do that?
There are laws. If you call the police, you
okay, good. So I would advise her call the police.
But do you want her to continuously keep doing that throughout her life? Is continuously call the police?
So what are the police going to do?
The police will arrest him and probably advise her to get a divorce.
Okay, and I would advise against getting a divorce. Seek help for her mate.
And now, I'm telling you,
okay. So wait a minute. Wait, hold on. So Roy, the help that you said that she should get, right, by calling you suggest they should go call the police because we have the laws in place.
If you fear for your life, God says take advantage of the law of the land. But if the law of the land is against what I say, then don't follow their advice. And their advice is get a divorce. God says follow my advice. Don't get a divorce. Seek help for your mate. Your mate might be. So the best help.
So you're suggesting really.
So go ahead.
Since God knows best and God's children knows best, so the best help that she can get is going to be within the confines of her pastor and church and that kind of thing.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if she's a God-fearing wife and he is physically abusing her, mentally abusing her, period, she should seek the help of the law of the land. I am pretty sure in every single case, if you are being harmed physically, I don't know about emotionally. I think that people still need to get on board with that. But let's say, since we're talking about physical abuse, because she might die, I don't think you can kill somebody with mental abuse, although they may commit suicide if they're not strong enough. So I guess that might be part of it. But I'm not going into that because I don't think the law of the land is just so on that one just yet. But if
the law of the land allows people to listen, Roy. The law of the land allows people to get a divorce for a lot less reasons than abuse. Okay, so you're saying the land, but then right, if it's contradictory to God's word, which God's word says that only adultery is a reason for divorce. Okay. So you tell me which is more compassionate towards a woman?
Well, and also, BroJo, what if the guy doesn't want to get help for the abuse? Like, what if he feels that he doesn't need help, and he's not in the wrong? Like, Roy, your black and white thinking doesn't account for the bajillions of variables that are involved in these situations.
You guys are missing the point. Okay.
No, we're not missing the point. You're just
let me help you. Yeah, let me tell you why you're missing the point. Let me help you.
Tell me why.
Okay. So if she decides to divorce him, right? But I don't advise him. I don't advise her to do that. She says, Roy, I've followed everything that God has said for me to do. He will not change. I now fear for my life. I'm going to get a divorce.
What do you tell her?
I tell her don't. But if she's going to, because she gets to make this decision, I don't get to make this decision for her, and neither do you.
Why do you tell her not to?
Why would you tell her not to? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
All right. Why would you tell her to?
Because God says so?
I would tell her to because I would tell her to because I'm able to identify.
You're bailing. You're bailing.
I'm able to identify when somebody
bail on the relationship.
No. You're not. You see, you're so like that doesn't make any sense. No relationship is worth your life. None. Not even a marriage.
But that is yet speculation on.
That's a speculation.
That's speculation.
That's
really,
speculation.
Roy, I can probably Roy, are you married, Roy? Roy, are you married? Roy, are you still married, Roy?
Always.
Hey, you're coming home from work every day, or every time you get up in the morning, right? Your wife is hassling you, right? She's pouring cold water on you. Get your ass out of bed, do this. You go to work, you come back, she's hassling more, she burns the food. I'm telling you, you're just getting treated lousy, and you're just getting totally stressed out, okay? And then you get the help, try to, from your pastor and stuff. She ain't changing, but she's just abusing. It's just increasing. You're gonna tell me your life might be endangered, or it's just compromising your work and stuff like that. You're gonna tell me that you're not going to get out of that house just for your own sanity?
Okay. So getting out of the house is different than divorcing, yes?
But you wouldn't go back to that, though. Willingly.
You wouldn't go back. Yeah, she's not changing. She's not changing.
She's not changing.
Yeah.
It's like having a dog that bites you every day. You're not going to want to be around that dog eventually, and then eventually you're either going to part ways from the dog or you're going to give the dog to somebody else. Regardless of whether or not you're going to legally divorce, it's that we're talking about the separation is going to happen, right? You're no longer going to be with the person anymore. No sane person would stay with someone that abuses them for years.
That's her opinion.
That's not an opinion. This is the most people that stay in abusive relationships tend to be women, and it's usually because they feel trapped by the person, and it's because they live in they live in constant fear of.
And what you're suggesting, Roy, and what you're suggesting, some would say is outright evil, because what's happening is now your own life, right? Others' lives, or the life of the relationship is more important than your own life. And to me, some would say that is evil.
Some would say that's crazy.
Crazy.
Because that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, especially with people that don't have kids. Right? Why would you hang on to that so dearly because of a passage in the Bible that says something about divorce? Like, I think that, I don't know, to me, it's not practical in any sense. Like, you're gonna live this life of suffering willingly, so you don't have disfavor with your God. Like, I'm sure he can forgive you of that, right? And I'm sure your God is reasonable in the sense of, yeah, I see that this person is being put through hell on earth. So yeah, divorce.
God didn't want it for the nation of Israel, did he? Right? Wasn't there a point where they're getting all stepped over, trampled, taken over, lands taken away, right? I mean, according to the story, he didn't sit back, he did something about it, right? And silence.
It's not black and white enough, BroJo. That's why it's too complicated. It's got to be formed in yes or no.
Somebody mentioned about the yes and no thing. I get it now. Yes or no?
But like, I hope that, I don't know. I don't want to be insulting, but I hope that you don't manage to counsel very many people, because it doesn't sound like you'd give them like healthy advice.
Hope everyone here learned a little something today.
Yeah, because I'm getting it. That's what I'm going to school for is counseling. So, and I would never tell somebody that's like that in a situation like that, and that's just from common sense. You would know that if someone's in a bad situation, you tell them to work their hardest to get out of it so they can get into a better situation.
Is Roy still there?
I think so. I think maybe he's thinking about what we're talking about, soaking it in, digesting it, maybe.
Hello, Helena.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Oh no, yeah, I don't
I'm
hear you,
very
Roy.
well,
I don't.
thank you.
Yeah, maybe you're not unmuted. Oh, he had to refresh. Okay, looks like you couldn't hear him.
Can't take the heat.
Very warriors muted. But we couldn't hear him.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll come back.
I hope he comes back.
Are you sick, Khalil?
Yeah, I am. I am a little bit sick.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe you can hear me now. I think I wasn't being heard.
Hi, Roy.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Elena.
Yeah, we didn't hear you.
Okay, so here's what I said, guys. Listen very carefully.
I've got a question when you're done.
I was spousal abused. I didn't call the cops. I didn't want to. I didn't need to. I was never going to divorce her through all of it. Did I fear for my life? No. Was she abusive to me physically? Yes. Did I need stitches? Yes. Did she finally leave because she couldn't take me taking her stuff and not doing what she wanted me to do behind it? No. I just did what God wanted me to do. He will take, and she said she was a believer 2 years earlier. We both gave our lives to the Lord, but obviously something happened, and she just decided, I'm not going to listen to God anymore. I'm going to do my own thing, and you're not going to stop me. And she fought me physically. I never laid a hand on her other than to restrain her from hurting herself and or myself, which was basically just giving a big old bear hug and holding her until, she was out of breath because she physically attacked me. One day I went to work and my face was all scratched up. What's that from? Oh, from my wife's fingernails, from, her not liking the decision that I'm making for our kids who are not special needs kids. They're typical kids. They were young kids, and she wanted a different thing for them than what God said they should do. And so I didn't fight her on it. I just said, no, I'm putting my foot down. No, you can't take them. You can't do what you want to do and bring them into your... She left. Listen, her worst vice before she left was smoking. After she left, she started getting into meth. She started getting into cooking. She started writing bad checks. She was in and out of jail. And then she wants to take the kids to a God-forsaken place that I don't even know where. I'm thinking, no. hell to the no. God says that the kids stay with the believer, not the unbeliever. It was very obvious she was at that point doing everything against God's will for her life and the kid's life, not to mention mine. But she fought me nonetheless. Did I have to protect myself from her? Like I said, by calling the cops? Maybe I should have, maybe I could have, but she was already in and out of jail. I didn't want to do that. I knew God would take care of this for me. So what happened in the end? She left.
Roy,
I never had to divorce her. Go ahead.
Roy.
All right. Wait, did you get a divorce?
I didn't. She did.
Okay.
And I had no say in that.
Roy,
well, you do have to sign the papers, right?
Well, yeah.
So you sort of do have a say in it.
Well, for the sake of the kids, I said, okay, but I wasn't the one that divorced. So the Bible says if the unbelieving spouse wants to leave, let him leave. And she wanted to leave, so I let her leave. Rather than have discord for the kids, because we did that for 4 years. There was no, I mean, we were like night and day, guys, just like you guys are here with me. She was just like you. She believed just like you. Everything that God said, they railed on.
Right. Right. So God didn't provide then.
God did provide. He allowed. So when I kept saying you guys were missing
God
the point,
provided a divorce.
It's like the believer doesn't take.
Roy,
God provided
that was
you
the
with divorce.
exact point. That was the
unbeliever
exact
divorces.
point. That was the exact point that I made, right, about an hour ago to you, saying that you shouldn't be criticizing these parents because maybe it's best for some couples that have special needs children to better look after their children, not to be a couple. And you disagreed with that.
Okay.
And now here you are, not even
okay.
under the stress, not even under the stress of having special needs children. You're saying it was better you were divorced?
Right.
For the
This
sake
is
of the
why you
kids.
should not.
That's
be
what we've been saying.
No, I didn't
sake
say
of the
it was
kids.
better that I'm divorced. It's better if
For
I
the
don't
sake of the
divorce.
kids, right?
And
Was it not
Oh my-
for the
okay.
sake of the kid, right?
Okay.
We did it for
Okay.
the sake of the
Okay.
kids.
Okay. All right. Listen, let me just tell you this. For the sake of moving forward, you're right. We don't need to touch this anymore. Forget the divorce. You're right. Your advice to me should have been, Roy, divorce your wife. I should have done that. You're right. I didn't do that. So in your eyes, I was wrong. In God's eyes, I was right. And we'll leave it right there because we're never going to get resolution. You guys are never going to think like God.
You
never
did
want to
divorce,
think like God.
right? You did divorce. You did divorce. That was the point we made.
I didn't divorce. She
Well,
divorced me.
divorce happened in your
You
marriage.
signed the paper.
Correct.
You signed the paper, as Joseph said.
Correct.
You signed the paper for divorce.
Correct.
For the
So you
sake of the
agreed
kids.
to the divorce. You could have just not signed it and said, "No, I'm not
Let's get
divorcing you.
counseling.
Let's be separate, but I'm not divorcing."
Or
Okay.
let's get help. The solution that you've been sitting
Because
here
you should
saying.
have had faith that God would have sorted it out, right?
Right.
God would have sorted this woman out for you and either brought her back in a loving, full relationship, right? But you didn't give that a chance.
Because if you're going to go and give that advice to others, at least take it in your own life too, right? Like if that's because that's what you're sitting here proposing for these people that deal with these struggles.
So when your unbelieving spouse wants to divorce you, you think I'm divorcing her. Is that correct? Yes or no?
I think it's an agreement made by two people.
I'm granting her the right to divorce me, which what God said, if she wants to leave, let her leave.
Leaving and divorce are two separate things.
But you don't divorce her.
No,
Let the unbelieving spouse divorce you.
By
but
signing
you
the
don't divorce
paper,
her.
you're consenting to the divorce.
Okay, like I said, that's fine. I agree to leave it right there. Okay.
Okay. I have something to say briefly.
I will still counsel people exactly the same way, and I will still use myself as an example. And then they get to do whatever they want. Go ahead.
These are terribly heartfelt matters that have been shared today amongst us. And we're sharing each other's opinions about these heartfelt matters. And I want to encourage everybody to be easy on each other, even though, this is an adult place. And yes, but be careful what you share about these heartfelt matters, it can be treacherous to invite a rating or from another individual about what you've done or the goodness of what you've done. So again, let's be easy on each other if it seems good, and let us be careful about the heartfelt things that we solicit opinion about. It can be very emotionally taxing to invite a rating from other neighbors. But thank you.
Thank you.
I kind of agree with Tommy there. I just wanted to ask Roy, I know you're a proponent of Zig Ziglar, and he talks a lot about stinking thinking and that kind of thing. But he also talks about the perils of black and white thinking. And so I'm wondering, how do you reconcile that, and how do you stay consistent?
Well, first of all, Helena, he doesn't. If you can give me what he has said or what he means by the perils of black and white thinking. Zig is a fellow believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, so he would never say God is wrong. And so if he doesn't say God is wrong, then he is black and white of thinking. It's either God said it, and this is right, and if you come up against it and say, oh no, I don't care what God said, it's what I'm going to do. And it's not wrong for me to do it, and that's not what Zig said.
Interpreting what God said, assuming that he did say it, interpreting what he said is subjective. And there are depths of interpretation, and there are shallow interpretations. There's juvenile interpretations, and there's, So
I disagree.
Interpreting what God says,
I disagree.
Can be more maturely done or more shallowly done. It can be out of context. It can be, those three things: immaturely done, shallow, out of context.
No, there's no.
Okay. I receive your opinion, sir.
Because listen, Tommy, if that were the case, then why do we even need to Bible at all when you can't determine what is true and what is not true? No, anybody can determine what is true and what is not true. It's the people who decide that what God has said is not really what he said, because there's a passage that says there will be people who will take God's truth and turn it into a lie, and take a lie and turn it into the truth. And I see that a lot. And I see that a lot in these type of environments.
I can only speak for myself. When I read what I consider may be from God, maybe, that it might, I can only speak for myself, I might interpret it shallowly, and I might be growing in my understanding of these subjective things. So I can only speak for myself, Roy.
Well, while we're on this point, I'd just like to think about men being in abusive relationships, which is, it's very easy when you're in those relationships to mistake compassion for love. And I think this is generally why men tend to stick around in these relationships a lot longer than they should. Okay, so I'm just say to you, Roy, don't feel guilty for making that mistake. Everybody does.
Thank you for that, Simon, on a personal level. That's something that I'm been thinking about, the difference, the distinction between compassion and love and charity. But thank you, Simon, yes.
People who stay in abusive situations don't know what love is. I will absolutely make that a fact.
I completely disagree. I mean, mistaking one thing for the other is not a fault.
Love is not a feeling. Love is a good doing for the other person. And if you're not doing good for the other person, you don't love them. I don't care what you tell me.
I neither condemn nor endorse what Roy said, but I'd love him anyway.
But when you're talking about the reception of the person that's being abused, right? You're saying that they don't know what love is, and I would agree with Simon. I don't agree that's the case. It's just they might mistake it for something else and live with it, but that doesn't mean that the person's at fault or something. Like that's
it's very easy
I'm not
to get
saying
stuck.
they're at fault if they don't know what love is. I'm just saying they don't know what love is.
It's extremely easy. It's extremely easy to get sucked in on things like Stockholm syndrome, where you become reliant upon the abuse. Or even I don't think this is it's not a failing, right? It's a natural human reaction. It just takes recognition that that's going on, and I think that's why people stay longer in than they know they should.
I agree.
And even some people might stay for convenience reasons. Some people might stay for stability reasons because that's like the only home that they have or know. Like there's all kinds of reasons people stick around.
Exactly.
So.
I would agree.
You can't make a blanket statement like what you made though. Like that doesn't follow, right?
Love may be habit forming or addictive. Yes.
See, love is not a feeling. If you think love is a feeling, then you don't have the right definition. Love is a doing. Agape love is doing the best for the other person always, regardless of what they do to you. Regardless of what you do to God, God is still good to you each and every time. He never retaliates against you. The consequences of your actions will be either a blessing or a cursing, but that's up to you. God will never retaliate against you.
There's a difference between love and there's a difference between love and charity. Is that what you're proposing?
Define charity.
Love with wheels, love in action, love in motion, love producing, love in action equals charity.
If I love another human being, I will never do evil to them.
That's a different point. That's a different point. Different point. I will not contest that point, but I do propose to you that love in action is charity. Hidden love. No, open rebuke is better than hidden love, it is written. And there is a distinction between love and charity, maybe, and it might be that charity is love in action. Thank you.
And yeah, abuse is also about control, Joseph, which is why many of the things tied to life become controlled.
Right.
I totally agree with you.
Make sure that
abuse has everything to do with
you're financially dependent, you're emotionally dependent. They make sure those things start to happen.
So if we get if we get to the root of why a person would even find themselves in a position of a spouse abusing them, I should say, you will find in most cases, I'm not going to say every case, that person is, I don't know how to put it, but they're not sound in their thinking. It's not that there's something wrong with them. They're just not thinking correctly. As Elena said about Zig Ziglar saying stinking thinking, they have stinking thinking. They think that's the best that they can do. They think that that is a natural part of a relationship because maybe they've experienced it in their own family where daddy was abusive to mom and mom just stuck around and did what she did. And she had maybe told her kids, you know, this is just a natural part of being in a marriage because that's what her mom believed and so on and so forth. Because personally, one more quick thing. Personally, my wife and I about, 6-7 years ago, met someone from the neighborhood that a friend of ours brought over. She was 16 years of age, and she started talking to my wife about relationships, this, that, and the other thing. And she expects to be hit in her relationship. She believes that that is the way to show love to her man. Can you believe that? Because that's what she came out of. She said, yes, I expect to be hit. So what is she going to do? She's going to seek out these types of individuals because this is her belief system. You can only attract who you are. Therefore, if you start off on the wrong foot, and then these men or women who see this chink in the armor, if you will seek these people out and then start to do this right from the beginning of their relationship. And boom, the next thing you know, they're married, and then it escalates to the point where they're lying about their stitches and their bruises and everything else. And that's because they think this is a normal part of the married life, the relationship with their spouse. Go ahead.
Sure, as we're saying, it's about control.
It is about control.
And what I'm saying to you, Roy, is that staying around to try, in the vain hope, maybe even that the person's going to change, or maybe the vain hope that the person who is showing remorse, because quite often people who abuse do show remorse, and promise to change. Maybe you think the next promise will be the one that works, etc. There's all sorts of reasons why you want to hang on in there, as it were, especially if you felt initially a strong feeling or chemical connection to the person. But again, what I'm trying to point out to you is that, we can't condemn people for divorcing if they're in abusive relationships. Can we? And abusive relationships
no,
don't start.
And I would never say that.
Abusive.
I would never
so,
say that.
So the point being is on the same hand. So the point being is on the same hand, we cannot condemn people that have special needs children for wanting to divorce, because clearly it's a very stressful thing
Absolutely
to have
not.
in a relationship. I appreciate that you feel differently about it, but walk 10 miles in those shoes first before you prognosticate on other people's condition.
I'm just saying what God has already said, that he says it is wrong.
I know what you're saying, Roy.
It doesn't mean
want you to acknowledge
that no one divorces.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, Roy. I just want you to acknowledge that what I'm saying makes sense. Could you do that at least?
Okay, so let me put it to the words that it will make sense for me. Okay, so if I advise someone, God said this, I show them where God said this, they now know the truth, and they decide, I don't care what God said, I'm going to divorce my wife. She's abusive to me, I don't like it, she doesn't know how to handle our special needs kid, so I'm kicking her to the curb, and I want full custody of my special needs child, and I will remarry and find someone who will handle me and my special needs child according to God's word. I will not say ever that it's right for him to divorce. But as you just said, don't condemn them. I would never condemn them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's wrong to divorce. Now, if you don't want God's first best.
Well, you say now. You say now.
Let me finish.
No. Because you say now as if that means something. It doesn't mean anything. You saying it is wrong to divorce is condemning. You can say now after it as many times as you like. But as soon as you say it is wrong to divorce,
yes,
right? Those words in English mean a condemnation.
It's also it's a bit theological.
I don't understand.
It's a bit theologically presumptuous.
Are you saying it's wrong to condemn?
It's not good and it's not truthful.
In this particular case, right, you've already admitted you are in an untenable position to continue a marriage. You don't think it's wrong that you were divorced. I'm saying have the same grace for these other people that may have a different condition to their marriage, but still, as I'm trying to point out to you, is extremely stressful on a relationship. Just like abuse is extremely stressful. Abuse doesn't happen all the time, right? You'd never stay if it happened every day. If your wife got up and hit you every day, you would never stay, right? So it didn't happen every day, Roy, did it?
So maybe we're saying the same thing.
Of course we're saying the same thing, and I'm trying to get you to understand and have compassion for other people, rather than coming in and saying, well, I'm sorry, mate, it's wrong that you've divorced because God said so, therefore you're a failure to your child. No, that's not the case. Unless you stress to me that these people are not failing their children, right? I'm going to think that you are being condemning.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like.
So
Simon,
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I share in your goal in encouraging Roy to be more compassionate and more graciously truthful minded as he beholds his neighbors. I share in your goal in that. Roy, what you have proposed, the law, some say the law has been fulfilled. Others say, no, it's been annulled.
Okay.
But hold on. Almost through. Okay.
No. Stop. Let me address this before we get too far away from that. You're not even addressing the point. So I'm addressing the point that if you say that this person in this scenario gets a divorce, that it's right to get a divorce, that it overrides God's law that says, no, you shouldn't seek a divorce in any case but the cheating of the spouse, which in this case is very abusive to you and or your special needs child.
Yeah,
the scenario
Jesus,
that I painted.
Right? Jesus said that.
I am still saying the act of you divorcing your spouse as a believer is wrong.
Okay, I hear you clearly.
I'm not saying that you're or me am condemning that person for divorcing.
I believe
I agree. Okay, just a second.